Lately, there has been some really interesting developments when it comes to Roblox Doors 4.2, especially when uncovering even more secrets within the game in previous videos. But now the possibility of hidden endings are growing more and more, especially after a month since the update was dropped. Like and subscribe if you believe there are some, and let's get investigating. So within the Floor 2 update, we ended up getting new features for the game, one of which does include the newly revamped courtyard within Floor 1. And also within this Floor 1 courtyard also lies a hidden bunker that is covered with vines, in which players would need to use the shears items in order to gain access to this part of the game. While inside the bunker, there is a gate which covers multiple doors in the back section of the room, and what's even more strange is that there is a bunch of figure festering meat lying around the entrances to these rooms and sections, which does imply that the figure has been down in this room before for some strange reason. And to top it all off, if you wait a while within the room, the guiding light sparkles will start to appear randomly from inside these rooms, sparking some interesting thoughts about these doors. What if the guiding light is trying to tell us something and are also hinting that these doors are actually interactable and that there may be a way in order to lift this gate up in order to reach behind it? Well, it gets even more interesting because if we take a look behind these doors in free camera mode, we can notice that they actually have models and walls behind the doors, especially since a lot of fake and unimportant doors within the game don't contain any walls from behind. And also taking a look within the game's files does show that these are considered as normal doors and not labeled as fake doors, as the developers usually have it named fake doors if they are not able to be opened, being a further reference that these doors can actually be operational. This means that the developers did put in more work into these doors for some reason, which could be a further hint that leads to this room being a potential hidden ending for one reason or another. Another possibility at a hidden ending does come from the courtyard statue itself. Recently, it was discovered that if players are able to use the free roam camera in order to dive inside the guiding light statue, it does reveal a hidden tomb that may have been used for the guiding light entity, but it also features a massive hole in the ground that was added in by the developers of the game. This shows that the developers did put in a lot more effort than usual, especially within a feature that is supposed to be just a decoration and not to be interactable at all. Also, when pulling apart the guiding light statue, it does reveal an interesting new pattern that it is stitched together. As we've mentioned before, the old model was completely done as one single mesh model, further signifying that a secret path may be further at play here. Why would the developers go to such lengths, such as creating a big hole within the hidden part of the game, to even massively updating the new statue model from within the model itself? It doesn't make any sense unless it was done as a hidden act for the game. Now, here's an idea which does involve with the possessed candle item from the newest update. If you do end up using the possessed candle, the guiding light is known to flicker and emit a sound effect periodically as it hints at any dangers. But more importantly, it also does this when it finds secrets as well, so maybe players would have to try to use this candle in order to find a hidden button around the courtyard and greenhouse rooms in order to fully activate these strange features within the game. It could actually be a possibility. We've seen it happen before back in the Hotel Plus update, especially when players had to pull the lever within the maze room in order to unlock the door that leads to the rooms. Perhaps the developers also hid another subfloor within the game, but we just haven't been able to figure it out yet. One could also say something about the strange looking pillared gate that sits outside of the courtyard forest. It's just a very random decoration that was added in by the developers. Now we can notice a lot of these pillars from within the courtyard as well, as it seems to form an old eroded structure that used to be here when the hotel was brand new. The files within the game models simply call it a brick wall, but why is this one separated from the rest and is lying within the forest? The fact that we can also see these same stone arches and walls from inside floor 2 in random locations also does signify an even deeper connection between both floors, maybe connecting to the vine entity, as we can notice them at both locations as well. Players within the community have also mentioned more about these strange ruins, especially when it comes to highlighting that specific one hiding outside of the courtyard, though there's just not enough connections to make at this current time. Now of course there is that big garden door right before Figure's final room, but there's nothing really interesting going on with the door itself, especially because the files does show that it's just a model and isn't programmed to be open. But you also do have another major oddity that can be found from within the mines of floor 2, and it could hint at another possible reference when it comes to secret endings and paths within the game's lore. And that does point to the audit room, more specifically highlighting this elevator shaft that falls way below. This is not the same elevator shaft that players used in order to fall into the mines to start the floor, but instead is another mine shaft and is completely unrelated, and yet it goes even further into the mines. Now, the free roam camera doesn't really show anything at all, as it just keeps going down and into the void, but one could theorize if there's even more depths to floor 2, especially if the developers do add an update in the future that would be similar to a Mines Plus update. Going deeper within the mines wouldn't only just introduce a new hidden ending, but also have the ability to unlock more lore and more entities along with it. It just makes you question why there was another elevator shaft being alongside the one we crashed into, instead of the spot being covered with a simple wall and decorations much like the rest of the room. And speaking of future updates, this isn't the first time we've seen developers lay the groundwork for something that gets expanded upon in a later patch. Remember how subtle hints were dropped in floor 1, especially when it came to the old courtyard, and then they become more meaningful once floor 2 was released, such as the new revamps within the courtyard? It's not out of the question that the developers have hidden these clues in plain sight, and with each update, we're slowly uncovering what this could mean at a much larger perspective. Maybe in the next update, or even in floor 3, we'll see the pieces come together. They all may be pointing at a deeper storyline involving the guiding light and the figure, and maybe even pointing towards new entities being revealed within the castle of floor 3. It's all very possible, especially as the developers continue to work on the next coming updates. But what do you guys think? Like and subscribe and take care.